Welcome back to another S4 modification video. This is a good one. In my hand right here is a modification that usually belongs on a Lamborghini that we're going to be putting on the S4 in this episode as a little bonus treat along with something else. The main parts of this episode is about the intake, to get some more turbo noises, to make this daily driver even more fun to drive, get a little bit more throttle response, smoother feeling power. The induction noises are great. Includes the turbo inlet pipe. We'll do the strut tower braces as well under the hood. A nice little oil filter housing from 034 and a carbon radiator shroud cover. This engine bay is going to be transformed, and in the process we'll throw this Lamborghini modification on as well as another one to go with it. Thanks for stopping by this video. Let's get to unboxing and get into it. Packages here for turbo noises. We want turbo noises, we want some more throttle response. If you want your car to be more fun to drive, this is one of the best mods to do, along with some others paired with it. For aesthetics, function, we have a lot to unbox. Let's get into it. Let's get everything out of this big box. All of this is the intake from 034. We have a coupler. We have our turbo inlet pipe. Comes with a really nice filter with their logo right here. 034 has a couple different intakes for this car depending on what your taste is. You can see this beautiful housing in carbon fiber. We'll show you up close. Another piece of the intake. They have some cool holographic stickers. And then we have the air duct, carbon fiber. In this little box right here, we have a 034 oil filter housing. Has a new seal and everything. It's branded by them. It has the torque spec on top. Really nice little piece. I'm taking the packaging off the new strut braces. That will look really cool in the engine bay and are a nice structural upgrade. Dang, these are nice. Wow, I'll show you up close soon. Last but not least, this is overkill, but I think you'll like it. 034 goes really hard when it comes to packaging, so you know your parts are gonna show up looking nice, not tattered and beat up. I'll have all these linked in the description. Matching carbon fiber radiator shroud cover. Dang, it's really nice. Let's assemble some of this stuff and then let's talk about the details. One thing I noticed that I wanted to share with you is this hose clamp comes on this filter. Just take it off, and then I have a non-marring pry tool. A lot of you probably have one of these, the plastic tools. You want to get this part of the intake on, and so I'm kind of using it like a tire machine to just get it into the intake. You'll find the sweet spot where it sits. Then we can take this hose clamp all the way apart. I'm excited to see what this sounds like. I get it on the car, and this can just go around. Get it on snug. It's not super even. I'm gonna fix that, my OCD. And this will slide through here. So that's how it would drop in. And this will go on the front. Here's all our parts laid out. This is going to be fun to install. Intake, turbo inlet, radiator, shroud cover, strut tower brace. Let's talk about them really quickly. Strut tower brace. Nice little upgrade. Everything about the Audi, the multi-link suspension, all the chassis bracing, that's what all makes up the driving experience of the car and makes it feel so solid. So we're upgrading it to something that has a link in the center that you'll see. The two strut tower braces from factory are very simple. This is a nice touch you'll see. It'll look cool, it'll function, it'll add more rigidity to the chassis without introducing any more vibration or anything. So you don't have to worry about that. Down at the bottom, we'll get rid of the black and replace it with the carbon. And this logo matches the intake one that you'll see, and it's just a nice carbon fiber weave and everything just looks super cool. This turbo inlet pipe is good in place of the factory restrictive one that's plastic. So we get a machined piece and we get some more airflow with this. I already have an aftermarket one on this car because I bought it used, so we'll swap it out with the 034 because I'd rather have everything matching. That comes with an adapter ring for the factory turbo, but you might need an adapter ring for other turbos, and they have options on the product listing with the link in the description. So this right here is our air duct that captures air through the grill and sends it straight to the intake. So it'll connect right here into our X34 intake system. So you have the carbon fiber piece here, the coupler for the turbo inlet pipe, and then as you saw earlier, we talked about getting this filter on and it slides through here. It's time Let's take a look at these up close, and then we're gonna get to wrenching and install these and go drive it and have some fun and see what we can feel with the intake and the new noises and such like that, and share with you my experience. So let's get to wrenching. First thing we want to do is get this lever off for our hood. On the back side of it, there's this little square piece. I'm going to take a plastic pry tool about the size of it to decompress that release, and then it will slide off. This piece here that we're going to be replacing just pops off. You're just going to slide it out. We're going to take the air duct out right here. If you don't have tools, I have an Amazon list in the description with everything I use. I'm going to grab my magnet, pull this through so I don't lose them, and drop them in the abyss. Now this should come out. Now it's time for the actual air box. So I'm gonna take off the engine cover. So up here on the turbo inlet, get that loose enough to remove. This can pull off the box. Let's just see. Pull this out. There we go. This has a Eurocode turbo inlet pipe on it when I bought the car, so we're gonna get that off. Just pry it off. I want to get this off, and if I follow it up, it goes all the way up here. And what I want to do is right above the oil fill, this pinch clamp, you can get it to come off. But this movable, like this such, you can slide this off. Now this is free, and then there's one on the bottom of this, so wow, it wasn't even attached on the bottom. That's not good. I do have another one of those PCV fittings. That's why this isn't coming out. You're never gonna be able to see this on camera. I'm gonna try and pinch this to release it. Okay, it's coming out slowly. There we go. This is quite the little spot. Okay, that bolt's sitting in there. A little bit of white lithium grease keeps the seal intact. It's the PCV on the bottom that just sucks. So if I come from the passenger side, okay, that's clipped in. The bottom one's clipped in. Okay, stock turbo adapter is on. This O-ring on. Okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Man, you would be amazed at what you can get to with these long Allen key sockets with the ball head. I could get the one on the bottom with this ratchet. It's great. All right, this is snugged up. Now let's get this hose back on. Slide it on. That pops on. Pops on up top. All right, turbo inlet hard part is done. Let's go. Clean it up. Get this wiring harness clips back on. It just presses on. While we're up in here with a 32mm socket, we're going to take off the oil filter housing. The filter did come with the new O-ring, so all I gotta do is pull the filter out, snap it in here, and we can put it back. Got my torque wrench out to 25 Newton meters. Good to go. You can sneak the 034 logo from here. Let's do our strut tower braces next. This rubber piece right here needs to be pulled off. Slide each one out. Slide these rubber pieces off. Leave. That'll go like that. And this can slide on. Okay, that one's in place. Okay, those are both good to go. Then we have the center one. Oops, that's backwards. tight. Those look really nice. Well, that's pretty trick looking, more minimalistic. Intake time, my favorite time. I can get this to slide on to the turbo inlet. Okay, so that's on, that's loose. Okay, let's get our air box in. Pop the bottom corner in. Pop that top corner in. Get that nice and tight. That's stationary. Now I can slide the intake back into it and then tighten this one. That's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount the air duct with the included hardware. Okay, that's snug. Next up, we gotta get this rubber seal on here. Clean off our brand new pretty parts. Get our engine cover on. You might have thought we were done, but remember we have this piece? Ooh, this pops. It slides into the corner, but you wanna center it. And then it will clip in. Nice, that looks sweet. Get our hood latch release, snaps back on. Functions, that's beauty. Now that we have those parts on, we need to go see what they feel like behind the wheel. Let me give you a little teaser of what the turbo sounds like sitting here in the garage. And then I wanna show you these two things that I wanna install before we go drive that I just got in the mail. You can hear the air now. It's actually a lot of turbo noise. This is great news. Take a listen. So this box, this car, when you open the ground, there's some really bright Audi rings right here. And these puddle lights from Enthusiast brand, they sent these parts out. We'll have them linked in the description. I've got some replacements that are the Quattro logo. I feel like that's a little bit more of my style. You could see the little light modules. So this will spit out the Quattro word. And then also got Lamborghini Urus style paddle shifters. These are really cool. Way better than looking than the ones we have on there. They're like this Cerakoted looking Lambo style shifter that's way more minimal, way more sleek in my opinion. It'll really go with the car, with the styling when I'm done with it. These are killer, so let's get these in. Here's an up close of the current Audi rings for the puddle lights that are right here. Let me shut the lights off. They are very bright and very crisp. Yeah, you can tell there. Okay, looking at the bottom of the car, take my little O-ring steel puller / pry tool, and I can pull this out, disconnect this wire. Oh, that's right. Boom, that was easy. See what it looks like with the lights off. Ooh, got a nice sleek Quattro. Not as clean as the Audi rings as far as like clarity, but I definitely am a fan of the Quattro. It has kind of that ooh energy to it. Let's go swap out the other side. I'll save these. It's the little things, am I right? Well, that was easy. Now to install the paddles. Let's disconnect the battery. Pull this up. Pick it up. Get your spare tire out. I already did that. We're gonna disconnect the negative terminal. It looks like a 12 or 10. I think it's a 10. Yeah, bingo. It's a 10. Got a towel here. Don't want that grounding out. Don't want to take an airbag to the face. The paddle install. Everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong and you're searing this ahead of time. So I'm gonna tell you and walk you through originally what not to do, because this turned into a whole 2.5 day process waiting around for the right people, calling and trying to order a wiring harness that's the only one left in the country that I don't know even if it's guaranteed, and I'm panicking. Here's what to do. Removing the airbag. You turn the wheel one way, you stick a screwdriver back here, then you twist it the other way, you stick a screwdriver. I'm gonna show you the spring now, and you're gonna press it basically towards the inside of the airbag to release it, and then it will pop out on one side. Then you twist it the other way, and then you get the other side in, and you kind of hold your hand right here with your right hand, and then your left hand you can stick behind and put pressure, and then get the whole airbag to release. That's hard enough, and it takes way more manpower than you think. And then with my visual of showing you how the spring moves down, once you see the backside of it, you'll go, oh, I understand what I'm doing now. I'm gonna stick the screwdriver through the hole, feel the round part, and then pull down until that spring pulls the outer part of the spring into the airbag enough to where it can be released. Okay, that was not clear enough. Let me break this down for you. This will help you. So that's the outside of the airbag. This is the spring, and this is the spring. The two springs hold this into the steering wheel. When you stick your screwdrivers through the holes, the two of them, you're going to the dead center of the springs. Now, how to get this to release, you're pressing it down towards the center of the steering wheel. So then to get this one, that's when you turn the wheel the other way and you do the same thing. So you're going this way with your screwdriver. And when you pull this down, it's releasing that spring and it will pop out. Then you rotate the whole wheel like I did, stick it in again and do the same thing. And then once both of those springs are out, the whole airbag comes out. So once you get that far, you get the airbag out. You can disconnect everything pretty easily. And I think it's obvious this car had aftermarket paddles already. These pins might have gotten yanked out on this part of the wiring harness. I don't know. It was a total freak accident. Next thing I know, when removing this piece right here, when the wheel is upside down, because it's easier to unclip the shifter cable and the buttons when this is upside down. So the whole trim piece is coming out like this. Next thing I know, the wiring harness that goes from this side to that side depins on this side. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. I'll throw a picture on the screen of what it looked like. I was like, this is bad. Well, then I realized you can pull out the wiring harness piece. I'll show you a picture of that on screen as well. And it has the white tape on it. I'm like, oh, this doesn't go anywhere else besides to each other. So this is probably a cheap wiring harness I can order. Well, there's only one left in the United States. I don't know if I'm going to get it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I frantically text my buddies Brandon and Kayla, which are my neighbors that work on cars all the time. Brandon's like the G of all G's, wizards mechanic I've ever met in my life. The nicest guy ever. Thank you, Brandon. Caleb was like, oh, you could probably repin it. And I'm like, I don't know what order. So Brandon goes the next day, looks up on all data, the wiring diagram, and basically pin 1 goes to pin 1, pin 2 to 2, and they're straight across, but they're all twisted up and taped up, so you don't really know what order. So I tried to put it in the right order that I thought. Next thing I know, the buttons aren't working. It's still showing a malfunction. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this sucks. I wish I would have been more careful when I pulled this off. It just kind of fell and then yanked the pins out of that one cable before I could disconnect it. So just move with caution when you install this. If you can't tell the passion in my voice right now, it's because I've been through hell and back on the simplest paddle shifter install. It sucked. There's nothing worse than waiting around for help and just a stupid problem like this for such a simple mod at the end of the night last night. Nightmare. I do not want this to happen to you. So now that you're going to be careful removing the airbag, knowing it's going to take more manpower than you think, and then when you have the steering wheel upside down, it's actually easier to get to the connection points for the paddle shifters and the wiring harness for the buttons. And you're going to be careful removing those and not letting anything droop or pull on anything. You're going to be very meticulous and very careful, and you're going to execute this well. What ended up happening is I pulled that wiring harness out. We took the white tape off, and then Brandon unwinded it on this table right here, and we pulled the original white tape off. I have some new tape that's black. And then we repinned it, used some super glue on one side so it would hold really well, and we didn't have to worry about this ever again. Super glued those pins in, and then reconnected everything. And then next thing we know, now that I had to take the airbag off a couple times, the springs that hold the airbag on, it won't clip in on the bottom side all the way. And we're like, oh my gosh, how could I run into more problems? So those springs, they kind of wrap around both sides of the airbag. If yours get loose, what you can do, I'm gonna set this down. Brandon took the spring that's this shape and he pinched it so it would close tighter and hold that position, and then you put it back on the airbag and it's going to sit a lot tighter around that airbag. And then when you go, after you do that, you can push the airbag in and it will clip in all the way, and just like it used to be. So because I was prying on it so hard so many times, taking it on and off, it just expanded too much. And those springs that are this shape, you can kind of compress them like this, like they are from factory, and then they sit a little tighter on the airbag. That will fix the airbag issue. So everything from repinning, we could do that. How to make sure that they stay pinned, because they're such small pins, you can't really tighten them and adjust them like you normally could with a plug like that. Some super glue, totally chill, holds it in place. It ain't going nowhere now. And then when it comes to the airbag, you can tighten those springs up a little bit. So it's just like everything I thought was irreversible, Brandon with his knowledge and wisdom was like, no, we can do this, we'll get it. Everything's boom, fixed, done, no malfunction, driving good, paddles are working. Wisdom is key. And thank you, Brandon, for your time. That's everything you need to know with installing these paddles, and that'll give you an idea on how to do a very simple task. It's just this airbag is kind of a pain, and then those wiring is so small and just petite and not fun. So do it. Don't hold back. Just be careful, move slow, and be careful with those small wires. You don't want to pull anything. We can finally throw this 360 camera on tomorrow morning when the sun comes out. Day 3 of this for me, and go drive and have some fun. Listen to these turbo noises and such and see what the car drives like. Let's go. Cleaned up my tools, got everything picked up, got the Subaru pulled back in here. On the last episode, I wanted to have some point of view of like the third person angle with the 360 camera. One of the Insta360s, I'll leave a link in the description for it. And then my pole broke, my boom pole that hangs off the back of the car, so I ordered this really nice one from Newer. That's where what my lights are and stuff. These have the suctions with the pumps on them, which are cool. I just want to show you what my setup is, and then we can go driving and you can see that angle. Editor Justin can sauce it up. There's some like editing things you can do to make it disappear if you want. It's pretty cool. There's a GoPro mount. This looks like an extension of some sort. Comes with an Allen key. Let's see what we got here. The reason you don't see these shots more in a lot of people's videos is because the rigging of them is so jank and sketchy. But I have a good feeling about this, and it will make it easier for me to use on a regular basis. I'm excited about. My love for cars originated with photography and cameras, and so anytime I get to do stuff like this, I gotta stay true to who I am and share it with you because I really do enjoy it. So far, all of this is metal and robust. I'm liking it. Yeah, that's looking nice. Got a GoPro adapter, I got an extension, kind of cool. So now this camera can screw on here. All right, this is a much more solid setup. Let's get it on the car. Get all the dust to prep this area for the suction cup mounts. These type of suction cup mounts, what's nice is you'll see when the white line disappears, then you know it's good. Man, I am impressed. This thing is really solid. 5-inch intake. Let's see what this is all about. I'm gonna do what we should do first. Put it in comfort mode. Let her warm up a bit, see if we can hear any noises. You hear that? Right out of the box, pulling out of the neighborhood, you can hear a ton of intake noise, especially when you get the car as quiet as possible. Put it in 4th gear, about 2,000 RPM. So if you want to do some turbo noise, rice, young boy car enthusiast type activities by yourself when no one's around, you totally can. Okay, let's put this thing in dynamic. Let's get some volume going. Let's look for throttle response, drivability differences. In neutral, you can hear it. So if you wanted to show the boys or your mom and dad, if they're into that sort of thing, you totally can. So pulling out in sport mode for the first time. I'm hearing a little more cabin noise, but it's nothing dramatic. I've been in a lot of cars where you put an intake on and all of a sudden you have all this extra cabin noise like a Honda or something, or even a GTI and such. You're getting more cabin noise with that intake. But that doesn't shock me because this car is so much more luxurious. I figured everything's going to be a little bit less dramatic and it's always going to hold to that well put together feel. I always wonder if the cops noticed the 360 camera off the back with the way things on social media are right now. They're like, wonder if we should follow this guy. When you looked at inside the stock airbox and you saw that paper filter, it just looks so restrictive, and it's really easy hands-on to see where all the noise comes from, where the smoothness, especially as soon as you get into the power band and the turbo starts to hit, you can start hearing it. You're like, no wonder that wasn't there before, because how restrictive that stock paper filter is in that airbox. Put it in manual second gear. When you really get into it at first, it makes some really cool noises that are unique. Turn traction off. Right, let's get it up from first gear. Feels really nice. The car is breathing a lot better and it's more enjoyable to drive. And if you think it's sucking in air now, it's good. It feels nice. There's not really words to put to it. This feels like an enthusiast car more than a luxury car now, where before it was like, you're thinking, this is a luxury car that happens to be a little sporty. With these modifications, it's becoming more and more sporty than it is luxurious, while maintaining that upper echelon of luxury, which is fun to experience. But not until we get the downpipe on is it really going to start to suck air through the intake, through the turbos at a different level, because it's able to get air out of the engine that much more efficiently. So I'm excited to see what the intake is like after that as well. That'll be coming soon. And then the front mount intercooler, because that's a huge restriction point on this platform. It's so small, the factory one. As soon as we start doing these more other supporting mods, things like an intake become more, and you see more and more and more personality out of it. You heard it with the engine open, you're hearing it behind the wheel driving. It's a different car. Gives me a little bit of your atypical JDM turbo sound territory, I'd say, for the JDM guys that they made cool early in the late 90s and 2000s. It's officially a car where if your passengers ride in it and they're non-car people, they're gonna hear these things and they may not say anything, or they will, and they're gonna go, what's going on here? Why is this car making these noises? I think that's when it starts to get fun, especially when you have a sleeper car such as this, where they're not expecting anything when they get into it. Okay, I'm gonna turn the mic way up so you can hear this in the cab. Windows down. Oh, it's a lot louder with the windows down. That doesn't get old. Right by a wall right here. It's probably about 15 degrees warmer outside than it was when I filmed the last 0 to 60, so we're 4.26, pretty much about the same. Not shocked with the heat. We need the intercooler, E85, and then let's really start to see if we can get those times down a little bit. I didn't really have any expectations, and I don't think you should either, from installing just an intake. Is the factory intake limiting? Yes, but not anything crazy. I do notice on a closed course, driving at speeds 60 to 110, the car feels substantially smoother and more responsive without that paper filter in the way of when it's really full boost, high RPMs pulling in a lot of air. It definitely feels a lot healthier and it's a lot more fun to drive. So you're just gonna get some personality out of a modification like this. It's fun. You're just gonna get some personality. If you wanna have a healthy mindset about installing an intake, I would just say do it for the personality. Don't do it for the gain of speed. If you want speed, tunes, intercoolers, downpipes, and fueling, not things like an intake. Does the intake help? Yes, but is it really a restrictive point in the early days? Not so much. It's more of a personality thing and making the car more fun to drive, which to me is more important than going fast. We haven't seen this car rolling from the outside yet because they're not really the easiest shots to get. You gotta get another driver and then someone to drive and then someone to film from that chase vehicle. But my neighbor got a Osmo Pocket 3 and I got him some ND filters, my neighbor Hudson. Let's go check it out, set it up, and see what this car looks like rolling for the first time with this cool little camera. I'll have linked in the description. Might be a good option for a lot of you who want to step up your game filming cars. If you want to see a comprehensive install on the intake, you can check out this video right here. If you want to see the next S4 modification video on this channel, you can click on this video right here. See you in the next one.